The Illinois State Board of Elections dropping a campaign finance fine against Illinois Senate President Don Harmon. That's one of the headlines you'll find at the Center Square, Illinois. Go to thecentersquare.com, get the newsletter in your inbox, and you'll be able to read that story and so many more. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop with you each and every weekday morning as we break things down happening here in the land of Lincoln. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell here on YouTube to get notified when new stuff is posted, including the live show. You can join the live chat, always an active bunch. But let's get into the story about Senate President Don Harmon, who essentially is now dodged a $10 million fine. And this is stemming from campaign contributions that he accepted as part of his election efforts. Yesterday, the Illinois State Board of Elections met, and it was a long hearing. They had several different things they had to tackle, everything from all of the objections that have been filed against candidates to get on the March primary ballot. All of those different cases given to different hearing officers are going to go and have debates about evidence of, this page of signatures is not valid, this page is not. So that's a process that's going to take some time here, and we'll see some updates as to who's officially going to be on the ballot and who's not. I believe later this month, they're actually going to be doing the lotteries for, top ballot placement and whatnot, but they got to get through all of the objections. So they assigned those cases, had people appear, and those cases are going to move on when it comes to the objections. So we don't have the ballot solidified yet after yesterday. There were just dozens and dozens and dozens of cases of people having their petitions objected to, including Republican candidates for governor and candidates for U.S. Senate and beyond. So go to the State Board of Elections website. You can navigate through that and see some things. But yesterday, they also tackled Senate President Don Harmon's fine of $10 million. And let's just pull up some of the information here from the docket where they spell out what happened here, all right? So you've got the case Friends of Don Harmon for state senate have officials noting that a petition to intervene was filed by the Liberty Justice Center, and hearing officer recommended denying the petition and did not identify the conditions permitted under the section of the law requiring for a party to intervene. But member Vrett, a board member of the Illinois State Board of Elections, moved to deny the petition to intervene, which was seconded. But I believe that petition is still going to be moving forward. It could go into the courts, for instance. But the committee appealed an assessment of nearly $10 million of the election code. That amount obviously being leveled and recommended. But the board last month, they voted against that. So what's really going on here? You got the contribution limits that the Illinois Senate and House members have to abide by when it comes to electoral politics and raising money for those elections. Harmon contributed himself more than $100,000 to his campaign committee in January of 2023, sending out that self-funding notification, and that ultimately lifted the caps. And then he proceeded to take in contributions in excess of those caps because he lifted those caps. But the question was, when is the election cycle, right? The election was the 2023 consolidated election. The contribution was within 12 months of both the consolidated primary and the consolidated election. The board's assessments process followed the definition of an election cycle provided in state law, which identifies the culmination of an election cycle as either the day of the next general primary election or December 31st following a general election. The board's assessment process identified the culmination of the self-funding period as the day of the next general primary, which was March of 2024. So that's how they were defining this. But again, last month, the board deadlocked on whether or not to assess this fine of nearly $10 million for accepting campaign contributions beyond state limits. Board chair Laura Donahue said that this really comes down to some questions of the law and what exactly is going to be defined as that election cycle. Because, yes, we have elections for state house every 2 years, right? State representatives have 2-year terms. But there's also some state senators that are up for election every 2 years. But it's not every state senator. It's kind of, it goes around in a cycle. Some state senators can go 4 years without an election. Some can go 6 years without an election. Some go 2 years without an election. It just depends on where they're at when they were elected in the cycle. So Harmon was not up for re-election in 2026. He was up for re-election next year. So his question, obviously, that the board's trying to grapple with is, when is that election cycle really by law when it comes to these campaign contribution limits?
My frustration is the complexity and the legal, it's all legalese and all this. And I think we need it simplified. And it's this is my understanding, is that one, the candidate was notified that there was a problem, there was a violation. There was nothing done with that. Then they were notified of the assessment and the fines. They appealed in a timely manner, came back to the board. We said, fine, we disagree, but we'll put it to an outside hearing officer. So it went to a hearing officer. Mr. Casper had the opportunity to present his case. We came back from that hearing officer, and that recommendation agreed with the recommendation of our general counsel. Then it went to the board last month, and where was a stalemate. Then it came, here we are today. Now, it's my opinion, if we stalemate again, then it's moot, just like you indicated, and I think somebody indicated. But the problem's going to be, what's forward? What do we do? What's the board do? We're in kind of a limbo. We won't have any direction because we've had recommendations from a hearing officer, our general counsel, and we don't know what an election cycle is defined. And I think will it be incumbent on the legislature to either give us that or the court or somewhere, but we're in kind of a limbo.
So how do you define this, especially for an office like an Illinois senator that may not be in that 2-year election cycle? Should they have to stop doing the election fundraising efforts? And this, again, is something that is kind of fascinating when it comes to the arguments that the Senate President's campaign fund is making, because they look at, for instance, the prospect of what campaign contributions would look like if indeed they stick with what was originally interpreted. And they provided a little chart here where, you got limits between January 1st, 2023 to January 13th, 2023. And then all of a sudden, after that self-funding cap was blasted through, you get no limits until March of 2024, and then it's brought back down. But he's not up for election until March 2026 in the primary, and then if he makes through the primary, he's got the November general election. So interesting to see that chart, but that's the argument that was ultimately made. And a couple of different motions that the State Board of Elections had. One was to just end the case. Another one that didn't pass either was to assess the $10 million fine. Jack Vrett, a board member for the State Board of Elections, reiterated something he had said last month about how they can always modify the amount that's owed in these fines. Here's Jack Vrett from yesterday's Illinois State Board of Elections hearing.
I believe that consistency is important and that we ought to treat this committee the same as we have treated any other committee that comes before us with these types of fines. And if we think that the penalty assessment is extreme, then we would address that in a settlement aspect and otherwise comply with the statute.
He says. But as they deadlocked again on this appeal and they did not approve assessing the fine, and they even went further to strike it from the case files, the general counsel said, all right, that's it for this case.
And it will reflect that the vote on our first motion failed, that the vote on our second motion failed, both 4-4, and no assessments are due and owing in this case. And as far as I'm concerned, this case is over.
So again, this is, the Senate President's $10 million fine, big fundraising violations alleged. And now it's not going to go anywhere. But the Liberty Justice Center, filing to intervene in this case, they put out a statement from Jeffrey Schwab saying that Senator Harmon accepted campaign contributions in excess of the statutory limits for the 2024 general election cycle, a cycle in which he was not even on the ballot. The Liberty Justice Center brought this complaint on behalf of our client, Joe Bullock, to hold Senator Harmon accountable under Illinois campaign finance laws. If Illinoisans are to have have confidence that these laws will achieve their intended goal of preventing corruption, they must be enforced correctly and consistently. So that's, again, a statement from the Liberty Justice Center to what's going on with Senator Harmon's fines and the $10 million. Now the State Board of Elections doesn't want, but they want money from other people. This is just a sampling of, they dealt with other fines that campaign committees owed, and they were like, some were $3,000, some were $2,500. Here you've got just a couple of $100, I think $750 owed, and this is in the back and forth, and how they go about negotiating, settling those fines. Here's some of that from yesterday's State Board of Elections hearing.
I need to offer $750 because that's the amount of the fine. So I don't know if the board is willing to entertain an offer somewhere between $375 and $750, or if the board would like to just reject the settlement offer.
About 500.
All right, it sounds like Mr. Fox is increasing his offer to $500.
$500 off.
So $500 offers on the table to settle that $750 fine. Again, it's not the $10 million fine that Harmon could have been assessed if they weren't deadlocked, but $750. They ultimately agreed, all right, we'll settle that for $500.
So who do I make a check out to? And how do I get it resolved today?
You can consult with Mr. Nauman right there behind you.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope you never come to us again, Mr. Fox.
I love you guys.
All right, so they do have the ability to settle fines for less than what was assessed to be owed. Kind of interesting. But again, the State Board of Elections meeting yesterday dealing with those issues. They also assigned hearing officers to all of the different cases where people are objecting to nominating petitions for the March primary. But during General Assembly's fall veto session, there was a measure that passed both chambers that addresses the addresses of candidates. If you go to the State Board of Elections website right now and you look at who's filed to become a elected official or to get on the ballot, you can see their addresses, their home address. It's part of the law. They have to file all that information. It's transparency and whatnot, but it's publicly available on the internet. But the law passed would say that people who are running for office, they can have their address hidden from public view. And that was brought up during the State Board of Elections early in the day yesterday.
I know the General Assembly, and I know Brian can give me the bill number, just passed a bill about addresses and public safety. And I know the governor has not yet signed that bill. But when that happens, I'm concerned about all the addresses that are on here. I know there's other ways they can get these addresses, but I just wanted to know there was no deadline when this portal was going to be taken down.
Sure. So if this act is passed, obviously, or is signed by the governor, obviously we'll read it and be sure to comply. But there are special rules for candidate petitions that make them FOIable and available to the public. Now, in terms of taking down the portal, we can absolutely look into whether the portal can be taken down immediately once the board has ruled on the cases, but I haven't discussed that particular issue yet. But I will thank you for pointing out that legislation, and I will make sure that our legislative analyst follows that legislation to ensure we're following it.
And how that's going to play out, obviously something that's going to go through the further legislative process, past both chambers, could be on the governor's desk soon, and then they'll have to implement it. So obviously, the State Board of Elections still has a lot more business to attend to, including dealing with those nominating petitions. And we'll soon know who's going to be on the ballot officially. Everything's still kind of just up in the air. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning for more right here from the Center Square.